Hello everyone, my name is Clay, and welcome to yet another Terminally Nerdy Indie Impressions, the show where I take a look at independent, non-AAA, niche, and early access titles, giving you my quick first impression after at least 2 hours of gameplay. Or, in the case of today's game, Last Epoch, a look after I finished what the game has to offer over 22 hours of total playtime. Yes, I like Last Epoch. I'm not going to try to hide it. Despite being in early access and unfinished, Last Epoch is a fantastic game as it stands, with lots to offer an action RPG enthusiast like myself. So let's get down to it and talk about this wonderful game. First, I want to make this clear again that this game is unfinished. An entire class at the time of recording this video in May, the Rogue, is missing. There are several specializations missing as well, notably the Warlock from the Acolyte class, and the Rune Master from the Mage class. Further, some skills are incomplete or unbalanced, and further still, the story is incomplete, with at least 2 more acts to go. If you're not willing to deal with this, then the game will not be for you. However, the game has its in-game systems intact and available, and there are a variety in class and builds that are here. They are wonderful, but again, a little janky at times. The game also doesn't look super great. It's decent, but games like Diablo 3, Chaos Bane, and Wolcen are clearly more graphically impressive. The skill effects are decent as well, but again, they're outshone by other games. I would put this on par visually with Grim Dawn, actually, and if you can stand that, you'll be fine here. There is also no voice acting to speak of outside of the class intros, which are missing subtitles, which is real annoying. And I have no idea if there are plans to add voice acting in the future, either. Musically, it's pretty solid, but very ambient. I enjoyed it enough, however, that I did not replace it as often as I do with my own soundtrack. The sound effects for attacks and enemy sound effects are nothing special as well, and the audio is just sort of there overall. The story presented in Last Epoch, however, is fairly unique for an action RPG, mainly because it focuses on time travel. You play as one of several classes, each with their own backstory, and unfortunately they are gender-locked. During some traveling to somewhere, they run across a caravan that's been attacked. Finding a survivor and defeating a boss will lead the character to a mystical shard of the Epoch, and upon touching it, you are thrown into the future of your world. From there, you try to unravel a mystery surrounding who you are, what the Epoch is, who the Great Void enemy is, and how to save your world from total annihilation. It's a pretty solid story overall that I enjoyed following, and the use of the time travel mechanic to solve a few of the side quests was entertaining as well. Finally, we need to talk about how this game handles your character. First, it's an action RPG, so you're going to find a ton of different items and drops as you play. There are item sets and uniques to collect, and the uniques actually feel unique and can drastically change how your characters function. But the real fun thing in this game has to do with your character and their skills. First, your character has a skill tree made up of your base class, Mage, Primalist, Sentinel, Acolyte, and eventually Rogue, and eventually your Mastery class, which is selected at a specific story point. You have access to all 3 Mastery skill trees once you have put 20 points into your base class's tree, but choosing one as your focus will unlock a much larger tree, a second half of it if you will, that lets you further customize your character. It's very similar in fact to an MMO talent tree if you're familiar with that, building from the bottom and working your way up. You earn points to put in that tree both as you level and as a reward for many of the side quests, encouraging you to do those side missions. You can also freely respec the points in your trees, however you cannot change your mastery once you select it, so research on the mastery is advised prior to playing. My character started as an Acolyte, and I eventually took the Necromancer mastery. You learn class and mastery specific skills as well by putting points into those trees, and you can see them on the right hand side. The second big thing is that each skill you have access to, with some missing due to it being an early access game, also have a skill tree. A skill can reach level 20 at most and earns 1 point each time it levels once you have it selected as a focused skill or a favorite skill. These upgrade points can modify how a skill behaves. For instance, I had the ability to summon skeletal mages, as necromancers often do. And I chose upgrade points in the mages tree to do things like convert their damage to fire, or I could have gone and made them only summon one super skeleton, or I could add points to summon multiple skeletons. Each class and their skills have these upgrade trees, and they allowed for quite a lot of variety in builds. I ended up doing an all fire damage build with every one of my summons because I could. I could just as easily have gone full necrotic damage, or cold damage, or I could have mixed them up. Build variety in this game is great. My friend Virus, in fact, was playing a Primalist and was focusing on a pet build with lightning damage, but he could have just as easily have done a poison-based build, or a pure caster build. Beyond that, it plays like many other action RPGs. You have a left and right click skill, and a 4-skill hotbar you can use, bound to Q, W, E, and R. You have health and mana, lots of gear, and enemies aplenty to slay in glorious combat. It doesn't do anything out of the ordinary in general, outside of how it handles character building, save for its endgame systems. Right now, there are 2 endgame options once you hit the end of the story: the Monolith of Fate and the Arena. The Arena is your standard wave-based encounter. You stand there killing waves of enemies till you die or till you kill every wave. However, you actually can't access the arena without an arena key, and you can only get those as drops right now through the Monolith. As a note, there are other endgame systems planned that are not in-game currently, so I'm not going to be talking about them. The Monolith is this game's rifts or maps system. When you start, you will choose a modifier for the upcoming timeline. This modifier will give your enemies bonuses or apply penalties to you. It will last a certain number of zones, and at the start will only last one zone. It also gives you a bonus to XP earned and loot quality dropped. However, the further you go, the longer the modifiers start to last, and you end up stacking modifiers. This means the longer you can survive the timeline you're building, the harder it gets, and the better the rewards get. Every time you finish a zone, you end up in an area where you can stash items, sell items, and get a chest full of loot for completing the zone, which is really nice. It's quite challenging as it scales to your character's level when you start, and the best I can manage on my Necro is about 4 zones before I start getting one shot. If you die, you start back at the beginning of a new timeline, so you lose your progress on your old one, but there is no other death penalty, so I'm very happy about that myself. Overall, Last Epoch is a fantastic game even in early access, and the devs are showing that they are paying attention to what their players want and keeping up with updates aplenty. I am very happy to have purchased this game, and once it's fully released, I fully plan to revisit it, finish the story, and maybe even try a new build. I'm feeling something poison-based with the Primalist. It's $35 on Steam right now, and I heartily recommend it if you don't mind its unfinished nature. This is something to keep an eye on if you're a fan of action RPGs. No questions. As always, thanks so much for watching. Stay nerdy, everyone, and treat everybody kindly. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Hey there, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and a special thank you to all my patrons who are listed over there on the right hand of the screen. If you want to get your name in those credits, feel free to check it out at patreon.com/terminallynerdy. And hey, be kind to each other and stay nerdy. Thanks.